Hello, 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 hello. What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well. I'm gonna confess something. I didn't do all my pre-flight check stuff because this was not planned. I just kind of got a bug to do a little bit of writing and thought it'd be fun to jump on chat. So let me know how things sound with the music and me. If you can see everything, everything looks good. What is... Oh, what's up, Scrabble? Oh, the Burger Girl. Or Burger Girl. That's awesome. Amen. We've got a lot of challenging to pronounce names in here today, team. Horatio, all right. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I feel like every time we've started a new stream, I've had a bunch of new folks in here, which is awesome. And then I realized that Twitch needs a thing where it can give you a pronunciation guide because we write names and then folks like me don't know how to say them. Amen. Oh, you're reading the Tiny MBA. That's awesome. Page 55. What is page 55? I've got a copy right here. Staring blankly, that's John. What's up, John? Welcome. Page 55 of the Tiny MBA says, before you ask, what can I do to make more money? Try asking, who can I reach that has money to spend? Try to name specific people and businesses instead of a broad category. Treat this list like a brainstorm, except instead of brainstorming ideas, you're brainstorming customers you can serve. That is a really good page. It's one of my favorites. It's also right across the page from one of the pages that we had illustrated. Hannah, who designed the book, did these cool type illustrations. The audience building is really just earning trust at scale. Another one of my favorites. Super cool. So welcome everybody. It's awesome. I see that there's some new folks in here. Introduce yourselves in the chat. One of my goals of this channel is to have a little bit of a community here. That's definitely my vibe. People say, Alex, you're the community guy. So I want you to be able to know each other, know who's here, where you came from, how you heard about this. I know there's some folks here from Party Corgi. There's some folks here from Indie Hall. I'm going to post this over in the 30 by 500 chat. I did not do that. Actually, John, since you're here, would you mind posting this over in the 30 by 500 chat? We'll see how that goes. That would be super helpful, so I don't have to go change in screens. So here is... Thanks, John. You're the best. So here's my game plan. These last couple of copywriting streams have been a lot of fun, so we're going to do that again. And this time, I want to take an article that I wrote a very long time ago. This article is from 2012, eons ago. And it's an article that I actually wrote for Lifehacker, which was maybe kind of an early break for me as a blogger to write something on like a really big platform. And there was a time where Lifehacker was like really big. Lifehacker's still pretty big. But I remember when this article went live and it included a link to my own site that it was sending traffic. Maybe it was a ton of traffic, maybe it just seemed like a ton of traffic. The thing was not just that it sent a ton of traffic, it's that it kept sending traffic forever. So I would consider this one of my most successful guest blog posts by measures of that. Did it generate sales? Probably not. Did it gain me followers, readers? Maybe. I don't know. Hey, Amen Luke Hill. I think I got that right. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. And a bunch of other folks that have just followed. I'm sorry I did not shout you out. Thank you for the new follows. I'm glad you're here, and hopefully we'll see you back again soon. And like I said, I would love to know who you are in the chat, how you found your way here, and for you all to get to know each other a little bit. So get to know each other in the chat. Treat this kind of like almost imagine like a little, cocktail party, hangout sesh. So this article, people loved it. I still reference it quite a bit. Not really realize, like I send people the link, like go Google Lifehacker Sparkfile and you'll find this article. And I hadn't actually gone to the link in a while, and I did recently, and Lifehacker is in rough shape these days. It is covered in ads to the point where like almost every time I've loaded it, it has crashed my browser. It's gnarly. So I don't think I gave Lifehacker an exclusive on this. I don't really care at this point. I wrote it back then. It was a good idea then. It's a good idea that I still use. I'm going to talk about what the idea is in just a moment. And then we're going to rewrite this article because the pieces are there, but I look at it now 8 some years later and I go, oh gosh, this was not good. I can't believe they let me put this on the internet on a professional blog, right? So, you know, I think one of the cool things is about writing on the internet, and we talk about this a lot, like every version better. I put out stuff from a long time ago that I can look at it now and go, I'm glad I did that. I would do better today. And so today is a chance to do better today. And that's another thing, is you can take old stuff and update it. And before we came on stream, Joel Hooks, my buddy Joel Hooks, I know there's some Egghead folks, maybe even some Egghead instructors in the chat. Joel asked, you know, when I do an article update, is this a new article? Am I just refreshing the old one? How do I handle that? And so this one is unique because it is an article that has never existed on our site. It's only existed on Lifehacker. I think at one point it existed on a personal domain somewhere, but I think that's long gone and dead. So currently this only exists on Lifehacker. So this is going to be a new article on Stacking the Bricks that is a update and new. If this was an old article on Stacking the Bricks that I was updating, which I have done quite a bit of, and I do that fairly often, that would be a new article. And by new, I mean it would have a new date on it, and I would probably close down the old one if it was still there, or redirect the old URL if it were still live. So I'm not going to have two versions of the article. I'm not going to keep the old one and have the new one. I'm going to have the newest one be the main one, and if the old one has a different URL, redirect it. That's the game plan. So, but this one is from an old site, and my goal, I don't know what Lifehacker's Google Juice is like these days. My goal is for this version to rank higher for the Alex Hillman Sparkfile or something along those lines. So here's the gist. What is a Sparkfile? And the reason I thought to do this, the reason I sent it, I found myself on the Lifehacker version not that long ago, was because somebody was asking, and I see this question a lot. I see it in the 30 by 500 chat. I see it on Indie Hackers. I see it on Twitter. And the question is basically, what do you do with all the ideas that you have? It's a good question. And, obviously you can't act on all those ideas. Also, not all those ideas are good ideas. And the idea of the Sparkfile is one of the tools, in fact, maybe one of the most important tools that I have and I use for having good ideas. And this idea, it's not my idea, came from a book called Where Good Ideas Come From. Canonical, right? Where Good Ideas Come From is a book by an author named Steven Johnson, who I really love. He's written lots of books about information, how information spreads, network theory, innovation throughout time, and Where Good Ideas Come From was actually, I think, the second book of his that I read. The first one was called The Invention of Air, which is a fiction, it's a historical fiction, so it's based on history, but it is not entirely true. There are pieces of truth in it, telling about the story of the founding of America through a particular lens, and all of the interesting things that were going on at that time. But he creates a fictional character who is sort of like buddies with everybody. But this one person kind of like weaves through all of these times of innovation and creativity and pioneering in early days of America. I thought it was super, super interesting. Where Good Ideas Come From is a bit more sort of historical ethnography, looking at, what has happened throughout periods of history where there is the most innovation. So, the salons of London, and the Renaissance in Paris, and so on and so forth, all over the world and all throughout history. And when I first read it, it connected with me because of co-working in Indie Hall and all the things that he was talking about What's up, John? Welcome. Glad to see you here. That's super cool to see you. Thank you for the follow. So he was describing, the importance of third places during periods of Renaissance, and how having a place where people could gather and get to know each other and kick around half-baked ideas is where innovation comes from, broadly speaking. It's, other people have talked about, and he might actually even talk about, like, idea sex. So the notion of ideas colliding with one another and becoming new things is really at the heart of where periods of innovation occur, and so there need to be places where that can happen. Twitch is a place that can happen on the internet. Chat rooms are a place that can happen, and in real life that happens in places like co-working spaces, Indie Hall. So that was my original connection. But there was this other idea in the book that I loved, and he had written another post about, and I was like, I feel like I want to share this with more people, and that was where this came from. And the idea is a Sparkfile, and so this blog post currently has this, like, I've already rewritten this intro a little bit, and I don't know why there's even an intro and a block quote. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I talk about this person is my favorite author, a couple of books, a 4-minute whiteboard video that's pretty cool about this, sort of like summarizes the book, where good ideas come from, and then introduces the Sparkfile. So a Sparkfile, before I get into editing, is a place to collect half-baked ideas. So it's like a third place for you and you alone, because the idea is that we don't have good ideas all at once or necessarily in a particular order. Ideas happen sporadically, and we see things that inspire us, we see things that sort of tickle our brains, get the juices flowing. I think for a lot of folks, when they're struggling with having ideas and not knowing what to do with them, it's because those ideas kind of cycle and recycle in our brains, and we feel like we should do something with them. We're not sure what. And so in the simplest version, the Sparkfile is a place where you can write those half-baked ideas down. Get them out of your head so you can stop repeating it and get back to the real work that you need to do. That's not to say that the real work is more important than the half-baked idea, because the half-baked idea, you don't know what it is. That half-baked idea could be one piece of the most important idea you'll ever have, although I don't think that's a particularly healthy outlook. But you're collecting, you're documenting, so there's two parts. It's a little bit of like a GTD, like getting things done, if you're familiar with that, the idea of getting things out of your head to clear space for important thought. There's a piece of that, but specifically having it be a place where you can write down, it doesn't even need to be a complete sentence, right? Sentence fragments. Why does this set of words, sometimes when I write things in my Sparkfile, it's a set of words that I've said a few times now, and I recognize that it's resonating with people. I don't know why, and I don't know how that's going to be useful, but those words seem to click for people, and so that goes into the Sparkfile. So the Sparkfile becomes this kind of like dumping ground for all those ideas that would otherwise bounce around in your brain and you'd probably forget about at some point, or they would distract you from the thing you need to do. But there's another piece of the Sparkfile that I think is really, really cool, and that thing is revisiting it, right? And this is where you sort of get that third place effect of ideas bouncing into each other. Is in the original article, Stephen Johnson recommends revisiting the entire Sparkfile, top to bottom, once a month, right? So you've dropped all of these notes, right, in a text file, in a Google Doc, whatever it is, and then once in a while you go back to it and you read the whole thing, and you start noticing patterns in your own thoughts. You start realizing, oh, I now said the same thing 3 different ways. Which one of them actually is the most resonant? Or, here's a few things that seemed completely disconnected, but now that I see them in one session, I see there is a way that they're connected, and maybe that gives me a next step that I can take, or a reminder of something that I need to do. So when it comes to having good ideas, part of the technique of having good ideas is also figuring out what to do with the ones that you don't know if it's a good idea yet or not, or if it's even an idea, right? So it's just get stuff out of your head. The music is too loud. I can turn that down. Let's see. Hopefully that is better. I'm gonna also tweak my microphone placement. You got it. Thank you for letting me know. I'm still getting the grip on how to balance music and talking. So, the kind of thing that people would use obsidian, aroma research to capture nowadays. Yes, I think there's an element of there's this kind of cult around digital gardening. I think that follows in a similar space. I have never felt the desire to do the actual gardening so much as to have the place to go to notice the patterns. But I totally get the connection between them. And I feel like that's one step further for other people to do that. But I feel like this is an interim step for people who see digital gardening and go, that sounds like a whole bunch of work. This is still work, but it's a fair bit less. So I've been doing this since 2013 when I wrote this article. And I now use, and for a long time have used, a different piece of software. So that needs to be updated in this article. I do it in a slightly different way. I also have 13 years of Sparkfile. So how often do I go back and read the whole thing is a part of the question. So that's the game plan. So I'm going to shut up for a little bit and sort of read my own work. But just like the other copywriting streams, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to reread this first, top to bottom. Oh my goodness, that doesn't work. That's a very big screenshot. And I'm going to figure out what my game plan is, and I'm going to do a little bit of rewriting. I don't think I'm going to finish this today because I don't think I've got more than maybe 45 minutes or so to be on stream, but we'll get a good start. So, let's see. All right. So I've already done a little bit of formatting here. It's kind of jank. The very first thing here, like I said, I don't know why this is a block quote. I think because I pulled it from Lifehacker and they had a block quote or something like it up at the top. Maybe it was italicized. I can't remember. But this is sort of like their style and certainly not mine. And when we talked about writing emails and articles in the last one, we did talk about, we got to kind of find the opening, and I don't really know what the opening for this article is, at least not yet. So we got to figure that out. So this first section, as it currently is, like I said, points to the core problem. Lots of ideas, but no clue how to organize or share them. That is the pain point that I've heard over and over. Maybe ideas come to you by the time you have a chance to record them, you've forgotten. And the Sparkfile, this tool doesn't just capture half-baked ideas, it helps you turn small concepts into great things. It's kind of like a little pain dream fix for those of you who are familiar with that copywriting framework that we teach. It's almost like a little mini pain dream fix in the hook. Not really necessary for an article like this, but I don't really know what to do with it yet. I'm gonna figure that out. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. So another thing is like, I'm not sure if it's necessary to introduce who this author is in this context. I want to credit the author. That's super, super important. But this gives like maybe too much preamble, because here's the thing is like, person comes to this article because they've got challenges with ideas. If I front load it with all of this context, there's this thing that Amy dubbed the term intro wank, and it's all the stuff that you write at the beginning of an article and you should edit. And I'm pretty sure Lifehacker didn't edit me, so I'm gonna get to edit me. And I feel like a lot of this intro is intro wank. This is the stuff that we write in order to get to the good stuff, and then we have to murder our darlings, and cut all this out. Cut out most of the intro, exactly. So this is like a really, really almost clinical description of what the Sparkfile is. I actually think this is where this article begins, which is wild, right? So think about that. All of this article, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs, a header or two. And it's not that it's bad writing, but it's like, it's a lot of work to get to the point. So I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna cut all of that. Now, for the moment, I'm gonna put all that stuff down at the bottom because there might be stuff that I wanna reuse. I also, I don't like the word crippling here because I now understand that ableism is a thing, and that's not cool. So I want to make that better. Yes, John. Sometimes the outro needs to be cut as well. Current length and read time, looking to cut it down to a certain length. I don't care about length. I don't really think about read time length because we've got articles of all different lengths. The real question is this article doing its job? And right now, this article is not doing its job, in my opinion. It's not doing as good of a job as it could be. It puts way too much up front before it gets the reader really doing the thing that I want them to do or understanding the thing that I want them to understand. Alex.js is good for catching not inclusive language. Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know what that is. And it's got a great name, obviously. Huh. I've never heard of this. This is really, really cool. Super useful. What an awesome resource. Thank you. And it looks like I can basically... I don't actually know how to run this, so I'm gonna have to maybe get some help with that. This is where, like, I got... Oh, wait, there's a Sublime integration. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna fiddle with that later. Excellent tip. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's fantastic. That's an area where, again, you revisit old work and you're like, oh no, I can't believe I said that. But luckily it's the internet, so we can improve it. Always opportunities to improve and realize what you've done incorrectly in the past that you can do better in the future. So that is a clear opportunity to fix here. Your something compulsion and the solution. So this header sucks entirely. In fact, there's no reason for a header to be there. We can jump right in. One of the things that I mentioned in the last writing session is that I like a cold open sometimes. There's a few different ways to open an article. One of them is to drop somebody kind of into a story that makes them curious about what's going on. It's a really good way to capture someone's attention. And then you have to do something with that. And so I feel like this story does two things. One is it ties to the actual title of the article of Defragment Your Brain. But it also kind of ties into the core problem, which is like our brains are scattered and ideas are all over the place. So John asking, is it my subjective judgment that the page isn't doing its job, or is there some measurable thing you've picked up on signups? Okay, really good question. So this page doesn't exist anywhere except on Lifehacker, so I don't really have a measure that this article is not doing its job. I'm basically going through and doing an edit and a critique of my own work in the past and saying what would I do if I was writing this article fresh today based on what I know. So that's part one of the answer, John. It's a really, really good question. One of the things that I've practiced quite a bit over the last few years, actually through editing Amy's work more than anything, I've been refreshing, stacking the bricks kind of incrementally and quietly under the hood, and finding old articles that when they were written, obviously they were good, people liked them, people are reading them, it is updating, but I can look at it again and go, if I were to find this today, there would be things that don't make sense, because a lot of the things that we write in the moment. We write as a reaction to something. We write in a given context, and it makes a ton of sense then. And then time passes and things are a bit different, and the content, and you look at it again, and sometimes it's just, I can look at my own writing and go, I can't believe I wrote that. Like, just that style and voice doesn't match, and there's a lot of that in here. But back to doing its job, The one thing this article does do that I think is doing its job is I assign homework. I don't love the homework that I assigned, but the fact that we talk about offering a fix. This article has a fix, but it buries a tool and a fix after like 7/8 of what's been written. So there's, in terms of it not doing its job, there are parts of the article that are doing their job, but they are buried, right? There's a signal to noise problem, I think, is the way I would diagnose this article's ineffectiveness. And so I want to increase the signal. I want to increase the resonance. I want it to be clear who I'm writing this for, what problem they have, and how we're going to help them solve it. And try and cut away all the stuff that could potentially distract, right? Again, a lot of stuff we write because we feel like it needs to be said. And sometimes we need to talk through a bunch of things to get to the thing that we really want to say. This article has a lot of that, but it's never been edited out. So we're going to give this, I'm going to give myself like 20 minutes. I'm going to see how far we get in 20 minutes. So my wife is asking me about running an errand. So those of you who want to stick around for 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to do a little bit of work. Excellent question, John. So that's cool. So we cut all that intro out, and John Croston, the keeping stuff for later. Yeah, I do like to keep stuff for later, again, because that's not the stuff in there is bad. It's just like it's not where it needs to be, and you know, I just need to remember to get rid of that stuff at the end. I have a habit of not doing that. So let's start. Where? I'm going to do a little bit of writing. You can kind of watch me fumble through this, and then we'll come back and talk about what I did. Already gone too far afield here. So the point that I kind of want to make here with this question, I'm realizing is as I type it out, I say, where do good ideas come from? I kind of want to like catch myself in a not a lie, but in a trick, where, you know, the question asks, where do good ideas come from? And so you answer that with the source, when the real question is the good ideas. How do you know what is a good idea? How do you know what is a good idea, let alone where it comes from? So maybe we'll do like good ideas can come from anywhere, but what makes a good idea good? So I like this. This is good, but I'm also looking back at the headline here. What to do with unfinished ideas? Deep fry your brain with a Sparkfile. So unfinished ideas is a really good hook because a lot of people have unfinished ideas. So I'm kind of catching myself wandering away from that maybe a little bit too early. I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna try a couple of things and see what sticks. Something somebody pointed out in the last copywriting stream is it's nice, sometimes helpful to see that like the good stuff doesn't come out first. You gotta write some bad stuff to, or not necessarily bad, but like write a bunch of stuff to like find the landing. John reposting the article, market. No, I mean, unless there's a really specific reason to mark something as updated. I know like for technical articles, there's some debate between, you know, whether something should be marked as, you know, last updated. But for evergreen content, there's not really a reason to say it was updated. In the case of this article, I was saying at the top of the session, this is an article that has never lived on our site. So I'm not planning on calling out that it was updated. It will be at the top of the list, which is its own problem, because like it being at the top of the list, what sense of priority does that actually give it? Y'all just watch me Google. So thanks for that. So the old school nerds, this is gonna bring back some memories. And that is what I want to do. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Glad you're here. Image here. Oops. Cool. So thank you, Todd. Welcome. Appreciate the follow. is the nonsense that I grabbed from here? Half-baked ideas, turning small concepts into great things. That's actually a pretty good line. So, my fellows 90s nerds, let's talk about process. Todd, where are you joining us from? How did you find your way to the stream today? Do need to pay for Sublime. I know. Okay. You are joining us from Maine from the Party Corgi Discord. I am super glad you're here. Thank you for joining us over. So, let's see. How does this new intro look? I'm already excited about this screenshot. Absolutely the best part of the day. Alright, so there's a bunch of junk in here. Great. Let's talk about ideas. So I'm using I'm kind of reusing a technique that we used last time. Yeah, John, it does bring back memories. I talked about last time where to get somebody's attention, to keep somebody's attention, and to create an opportunity to be curious enough to learn something new. One of the ways to use a cold open like this, where it's a story, you're dropping somebody into a story, they don't know who Tony is, they don't know why we're talking. Bass Stoker, what's up? Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. We're getting close to the follower goal of 100. That's really exciting. If y'all could do anything to help me hit that 100, that would be amazing. I'm not here to beg for follows, but I think it would be pretty fun to hit if we can. So I'm using this cold open. You don't know who Tony is. You don't know why we're talking. It doesn't really matter. Then I show you the screenshot. It kind of conjures something for our audience. This works also because, not everyone reading Stacking the Bricks is technical, but based on our survey data, like 60 to 70% are. So it's a safe, I think it's a safe image. And even if you don't know what it is, it makes you go, well, what is this? And it makes you want to know more. So that works really well. That's going to draw you in. And it sort of sets up a handoff for going from half-baked ideas to great ideas. So actually, I think that's the pattern. That's the arc of, I mentioned before, we don't really know what this thing is going to do. But I think that arc from half-baked ideas to good or great ideas is kind of what's going to maybe give this article structure that it didn't have. When we were talking before about, what's missing, the headlines made zero freaking sense, where better ideas come from. It's just like there was no structure. Yes, I am on Twitter. And John beat me to it. Thank you for sharing. Super appreciate it. So I'm gonna try and work that in here. So my fellow 90s nerds, let's talk about and everybody else. You're welcome. Ideas and turning one of my favorite things is not one of my favorite things. A thing that I've noticed is Amy and I talk about processes a lot because we build processes, we teach processes. I don't think people really want processes. At least they don't say they do. I'm sure there's some people who do. But I'm going to frame the Sparkfile as a technique rather than a process for that. I think there's something about the scale. Oh, lobster rolls, John, you're talking my language. And how you can... This house music is a little bouncier than I really feel right now, but that's okay. So given that I've only got a couple more minutes left, here's what I think I'm gonna do. Let's talk about an outline here, and then I'll next time be able to come back to an outline to know what needs to come next versus having to sit down and figure it out. So what needs to happen? We need to, talk about ideas, and I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. My thought process there is like, there's a sort of cultural obsession with ideas, and I want to call attention to that, and maybe a cultural overvaluing of ideas, and sort of reframe ideas a little bit. But also, it's like not the real thrust of this piece. But I also want to point out the idea that getting like in those little brain loops around an idea absolutely can be a problem, and why getting things out of your head are important. Cool, Todd. I think I'm gonna duck off in like 10, not even 10, maybe like 5 minutes. So save that tweet for next time. All right? Can I get a coupon for that offer to tweet? Just keep an eye on the Party Corgi Discord, and I'll try to remember to tag you. But awesome. So we're gonna talk about ideas, the good, bad, and the ugly. We're gonna talk about the ideas that we overlook, half-baked ideas. And so my idea here, is people are so busy looking for the next big idea that they overlook the small ones and sometimes the half-baked ones, right? So that's sort of taking us closer to the point of this tool. Now I have a reason to introduce Steven Johnson, where good ideas come from, author credit, but not too much. How to Sparkfile, step by step, show screenshots, focus on the review process, maybe an example, and then homework, software recommendations, so I'm going to recommend people try day. I have reasons for liking day one and keeping that separately from my other text-based note-taking tools. My Sparkfile is separate from all of my other note-taking tools on purpose. And actually, maybe make a note about that. Why to keep Sparkfile separate from other note-taking tools. Homework, software recommendation, day one. 30-day Sparkfile challenge. Ooh, I didn't even think of that until I just wrote it down. This is going to be sick. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna rewrite this article, and then there's gonna be a challenge you can sign up for, and the challenge is gonna include some number of reminders to be using your Sparkfile, make sure it's set up, but it's also going to include reminders to go back and review it. So rather than waiting maybe a full 30 days, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but turning it into a 30-day challenge, I'll figure out. That'll be for another stream naturally. Actually building that out. Oh, I just got so excited about this article. All right, that's my outline. And we've got a built-in call to action. That's fantastic. And the next time we sit down to write together, I will be turning this outline into the rest. It's a pretty good plan. Cool. Well, this was fun. Thank you for joining me for something impromptu. It was nice to keep this one, I was about to say short. We've still been here for almost an hour. I'm going to go to Lowe's for fun. We got to buy a second fridge for my wife's business. John, I will absolutely say hi to Patterson for you. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear that. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off for today. This was a fun little one-shot session. Thanks for coming by, and we'll be back here again soon. My game plan, for those of you that are still here, is I've been enjoying doing like the Sunday night copywriting, so plan on tomorrow night. It might be on the later side, but tomorrow night, Sunday night, I'm going to be back at this article. So figure maybe 8 p.m.-ish, something along those lines, Eastern time. So for those of you, I hope at 8 p.m., I know that that John is over in the UK. He's going to be dead asleep, but we can check in the morning because I doubt I'll finish tomorrow night either. Super cool. All right, gang. What does my wife sell? So she is a recipe developer. She has a business where she works with other food businesses, some food e-commerce businesses, some food publications. They hire her to come up with creative recipe concepts that either highlight their food or their food products, or show cool combinations and ways to use it, seasonality, things like that. So she does the whole, from beginning to end. She comes up with the creative concept. She actually tests the recipes, make sure they're good. She writes the recipes, and she does the food photography. Let's give her a little plug. She is not super active on Instagram. She should be. But her Instagram is Chef Tested. So give her a follow on Instagram if that's your thing. But this is some of the stuff that she's made. Hopefully make your mouth water a little bit. Some of the clients she's worked with. When was the last time she posted? 40 weeks ago. We could have a conversation. She creates this stuff for her clients. She posts for her clients. Her own Instagram is not her main focus, but you get a sense of what she's doing. And she's, in those 40 weeks, she's done a lot more new clients. So her photos have advanced quite a bit as well. But she's waiting for me, and I'm gonna get going. Check out Chef Tested on Instagram. I'll tell her that I plugged her on the live stream, and maybe that'll get her posting some of her food photos again. Let's see y'all tomorrow evening, perhaps. Have a good one.